Action.
Action. Welcome to the first episode of Minutes of Havoc. This is Amal and my co-host Hamad.
Thank you, Amal.
Our show, it's about everything chaotic and it's about multimedia and like comics, movies, TV shows, and everything we can watch or read or look at, basically, even video games.
Indeed, Amal. First of all, I would like to introduce myself. This is Hamad, and it's a pleasure being on our show that we will be discussing and we will be talking about very interesting subjects, okay? And in today's topic or in today's episode, I would like to address an important topic and something that has been concerning me for the past few years and something that I like to think about a lot, especially when when it's you and you're watching TV shows and you're watching movies and you're reading comics. It's something that you're like, but is this okay? You know what I mean,
Yeah.
Amal? Like
Like
you
you
have that,
rethink things, you pause and you're like...
rethinking and you're pausing and all that. And our topic is about our portrayal, or let's say the Middle Eastern portrayal, the Arab portrayal, the Muslim portrayal in Western media. Okay?
Yeah.
And going back in time since, let's say, well, the industry, or the Hollywood industry, maybe in like the 40s and 50s, they started including Arabs in, let's say, well, not our best roles, they always portray us as the bad guys, and then that's not true,
Towel heads.
Hey, and a lot of other words included,
Yes, yeah.
So today we're gonna be bringing that topic and we're gonna deduce the insides of why we're portrayed like that in Western media, okay?
Yeah.
And we're going to include a little bit of English literature, because me and Amal, Amal and I, both of us have,
Literature
background,
students.
our literature
Shout
students.
out to literature students.
Indeed, yes, okay. So we're going to include at least one or two basic ideologies of English literature that has to do with, especially, it started out in books, obviously, and then later on, in TV shows and movies as well, okay? And the first thing that we're going to show today is a small, tiny clip from a documentary called Real Bad Arabs by Jack Shaheen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jack Shaheen is I think he's of Lebanese origin, and he was born in the States, and then he unfortunately passed a few years ago. Rest in peace, Jack. He was one of the first people to actually address how Arabs are portrayed in the Western media.
25% of all Hollywood movies that in one way or another demean Arabs contain gratuitous slurs, or they portray Arabs as being the butt of a cheap joke.
We were going on a Mecca scene, and the plane is full of Arabs with these animals. Goats, sheep, chickens. I mean, they don't go anywhere without their goddamn animals. We had to put plastic in the cabins. They urinate, they defecate.
You have films by Neil Simon, like Chapter 2. The beginning of the film, the protagonist arrives back from London, and his brother says, "How was London?" And he says, "Full of Arabs."
How was London? Full of Arabs.
Well, imagine if he had said, "Full of blacks, full of Jews."
He basically has this 45-minute documentary, and it's really an eye-opener. Like this documentary, when I first saw it a few years ago, I was like, really? I was so blind to that fact. And the thing that he actually explores is, he's actually a lecturer as well, and he talks about racism, and he talks about ethnicities, and he talks about all these kind of stereotypes that are seen by Western media or by the Western states about Arabs, about Middle Easterns, about Muslims. Okay, and in his documentary, there is a scene from a Disney movie, a really famous Disney movie. Okay, I'm not gonna say which one for obvious reasons, but one of the lyrics, or like a few words from the lyrics, were really like, I was like, how the hell did I watch this when I was a kid and not, think anything else? You know?
It's weird that we haven't noticed these things before.
And that's where we're gonna include in today's episode, or talk about in today's episode, the fact that how we missed these signs when we watched these movies, these TV shows, these characters when we were younger, and not realize what they were about. So basically, in the song, it was like derogatory, because they were saying, if you don't like our face, then gonna have to have your ears cut off. I don't remember exactly what they were saying, but
Something like that.
yeah, something like that. It's like you have to have your ears cut off, and we know it's barbaric, but hey, it's home. I mean, that's not how we are.
Yeah.
Amal?
We don't cut off ears.
Yeah, we don't just because we don't like the way you look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that wasn't a Disney movie, and you watch that as young teenagers and
it was one of
kids.
our favorites.
It was one of our
animations.
favorites.
Yeah, our
Exactly.
characters. We grew up watching this over and over again, and we haven't noticed these things.
Exactly, and that's my point, Amal. To our viewers out there today, okay, what we're gonna be discussing is that whenever you watch something, whenever you read something, and this can be applied to almost everything in life, okay, there's two kind of ways that you see it, okay, and they're called, in English literature terms, they're called implicit and explicit. So I'm gonna explain them as we go along, but first I'll start with explicit. So one of the main examples of watching something explicit is Inception.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen Inception, right?
Of course, yes, yeah.
So you remember the final scene?
Yeah, when they have the totem.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so what did you realize from that last scene? Based on
I haven't watched the movie in a while, but I remember that the totem was still spinning when...
Was it?
I think so. I think, yeah, it was still spinning. Even like I thought about it, I was like, are they still in a dream or what's going on exactly?
That's great, Amal. So you think it was still spinning?
That's what I remember. I have to check again.
Was
it?
You. Okay, so what Amal just saw right now, she was explicitly seeing that scene. And to me, it was different because I saw that scene several times. And the more you see it, the more you're able to observe and analyze. Yes.
Things, yeah.
And that's the same reason why when you watch a movie more than once, you're like,
yeah,
how
that's
did
why I
miss
like
that?
rewatching things.
Yes, and
because you notice that.
Especially movies like
little
Inception.
details, yes, yeah.
So the thing that I'm trying to portray right now is, and that's how we're going to go back to Orientalism and how we're portrayed by actually deducing the fact that we can watch it explicitly, which was Emil just saw the totem, spinning. For me, I saw it in a different way. I saw it spinning, yes, and that's so obvious because that's what's happening, right?
Okay.
But then we have another way to see it, and it's called, implicit.
Implicit. So
Okay,
what was the implicit message?
Okay, the implicit message behind Inception was that, yes, it was spinning, but it toppled, like a bit topply.
Okay.
And if you realize, if you realize that throughout the movie, they say if it keeps spinning, then you're still in the real world, right?
Yeah.
Or sorry, you're in a dream. You're in a dream. Yeah. Okay. But it wasn't spinning all the time because it toppled. So so that implicit message implies two things.
Okay.
And implicit means something that's hidden. So you didn't see that, or maybe you didn't realize that.
Yeah.
As in
didn't notice it.
Exactly, as a viewer.
Yeah.
So my idea of being implicit is realizing those small details that make you see everything very differently. So for me, I had a totally different idea because the totem did not spin all the time. It toppled and then started spinning again. So does that mean, are they in a dream or is this reality? Okay.
Okay.
To further make you understand about this whole issue about implicit and explicit material or viewing a book, actually reading a book or viewing a TV show or watching movies is two ideologies of the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. I understand. So there is like the big picture, which is the explicit.
Everybody can see that.
Yeah. Like we see things like it's about what is in front of us and what it means.
Yes.
But the implicit is like
questioning
what sometimes intended as a hidden message.
Yes, by the writer or by the director.
It's just like the viewer or the audience interpret something in the picture. It wasn't intended as something. So
exactly. So for example, let's show the audience a picture, and I want you to deduce what this picture means.
Okay. From what I see it, like of course this is what I understand is a children's book. I'm familiar with it.
It's called Peter Rabbit.
Peter Rabbit, yeah. So I see the bunnies Some of them are wearing blue.
There are actually three bunnies wearing pink color, and one bunny is wearing blue.
red.
Oh, sorry, pink. Blue.
Is it red?
Blue.
Okay.
Blue. Sorry, my bad.
Okay, so yeah.
Three of them are wearing pink, and one of them is wearing blue.
Blue. Okay. So usually when we see pink, from what we grew up with, pink usually refers to females. So I'm assuming the bunnies that are wearing pink are female bunnies.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And that's you realizing it explicitly.
Yeah,
yes.
explicitly, because it's a very well-known
it's
fact.
Out in the open.
Yes, and obviously the blue one is the boy, or like a male bunny.
Yes.
Okay.
And now to actually observe it again in a different way, is that why do we connect those two dots?
Why?
Because it could be a thing that society does.
Probably.
For example, if I wear pink, does that mean I'm not masculine?
Some people perceive it that way, but it's not correct, of course.
Yeah, that's a thing, because society or marketing or whatever it may be portrays something, a product or an item or something. That doesn't mean it's true.
Yes,
and from your marketing background as well.
Of course.
Can you give me an insight into this?
Yeah. So basically, using pink and promoting female products, and it's known that it sells very well, and they even price it higher than the other products because they use color. So it's kind of like affects the mentality. Like some people think, oh, it's pink because it's for me and looks pretty and it's supposed to be only for females. But you see the same product, but in other packaging, and it's supposed to be for males. But it's priced higher because it's for females, and it looks more like, I don't know.
Maybe related to the gender? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, related to girls and what they like and what
even though it's not true. Like
what they thought they're like, basically, like Barbie and the whole thing. Like from the minute they're born, it's a girl, and it's the whole room is pink, and it's a boy, the whole room is blue.
Exactly.
Maybe now it's a little bit better. They use colors like yellow or like gender neutral colors in order to refer to these things, which is better because once the child is taught to grow up with certain colors that refer to a gender or like to himself as a person or herself, just like it's recorded in the brain, and they would think that if a boy wears pink, for example, it's something wrong.
The world isn't black and white. It's pink and blue. And available at Australian Geographic. From the moment we're born, it's frills for girls.
Barbie, flower and flood of fairy.
And force for boys.
G.I. Joe headquarters with electronic sounds, rapid fire gun.
On a side note, bringing us back to the main topic of how we're perceived by the West.
Yes, yeah. I would actually mention Edward Said.
Yes. And Edward Said and talked about that in Orientalism, and so did Jack Shaheen, and so did other people. Stephen Colbert actually has an amazing episode.
Yes.
Okay, I think he talks about the 5th season of Homeland. Do you know? Have you seen Homeland?
I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Okay, so you know the idea, the basic idea.
Yeah, I've seen a few
it's
episodes.
about it's about the CIA and them going and finding the terrorists and all that and everything. So I've watched the show. I've watched all the seasons, and I thought it was an okay show. It's cool. I like it. And then I didn't realize how much I missed those implicit messages, those hidden messages in the TV show. And it was in season 5 where
I think it has a lot of messages.
Definitely. Where they were taking the scene, I can't remember what it was exactly, but it is on YouTube on Stephen Colbert's show. Okay, and it was the scene where apparently they were filming it, and then some person came up and wrote something on the wall in Arabic.
It was like happened.
Yeah,
at the same time. Okay.
Like they were before they were filming the scene. Somebody went and wrote graffiti on the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did it say?
And then exactly like that was like I can read Arabic, and I remember seeing that scene like when I'm watching the episode, but I didn't realize it because it was such a hidden message. Okay. So basically it was the guy who wrote the graffiti in Arabic was like Homeland sucks, and there was like many graffiti, Homeland is does not portray us. Homeland is fake
Racist.
or racist, or I can't remember, but there were like a lot of hidden messages.
That is a major intelligence failure. Looks like the next episode might explore the ethics of enhanced screaming at an intern. Now, it turns out somebody on Homeland hired graffiti artists who took the opportunity to protest what they saw on the show as unfair depiction of Muslims. Wow, who could have predicted a graffiti artist would break the rules?
And they went on producing it and directing it and filming it and
On
releasing
purpose?
it, and they didn't know what it means. Like that was inside the TV show.
I'm really like intrigued by the idea if they actually knew what it meant, if they didn't. I feel like maybe someone did,
Of course, like the
because
person.
they won't just put something written on the wall without.
Exactly, like where were all those people who were supposed to
Yes,
check
yeah.
if every scene is okay? You know, apparently they really missed that. And Stephen Colbert actually emphasizes on that idea that didn't anybody realize what was written on the wall? Like
Exactly.
the only way you would is if you have if you read Arabic or you understand Arabic, okay? And I was like, I understand Arabic and I read Arabic.
I think a lot of people that watch the show also understand Arabic.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
You know, and the thing is, I didn't realize it. Like I didn't I saw the words. I remember I saw the words, and I do remember
You didn't
reading
pay
them.
attention.
But I didn't take it into context because there was so much going on, and I didn't reply to. I didn't concentrate on
Because a lot of things are going on.
writing.
and
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, wow.
And this happens a
and
lot.
This is recent.
Yeah.
I mean, going back, there's probably been other stuff about maybe other nationalities or other cultures or other races as well.
Yeah.
And to me that's disgusting from the way we want to perceive it, especially in this day and age, that this thing against the Middle East or the way we're portrayed this still exists to this day, Amal.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I bet it also exists in sexism also existed, and the way they portrayed women also existed. Isn't that right, Amal?
It all falls under the portrayal of the other, especially with what's going on in the States now, and how, for example, the Oscars are defending the rights of what the others are, like black people, Asian people, even Arabs. It is important to know how to portray them correctly. And I don't think, if you want my opinion about the Oscars, I don't think it's the right thing, and it's not going to fix a lot of problems, but maybe it's a first step. It's just like the idea about portraying the Middle Easterns, especially, even in Homeland, as you mentioned, if you portray every Arab as a terrorist or an enemy.
Sorry to cut in, but Stephen Colbert actually said that on the show.
Yeah.
Like if you go and watch it right now, it's like, wait, this character was portrayed in a bad way.
Yes.
This character was a terrorist. This character was
Basically, every Arab or Middle Eastern
character was
has
portrayed.
an agenda.
Yeah, and the only good one was killed by the terrorists as well. So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The heroes are all certain.
Like
have a
for
certain
me, I
trait.
don't think they care a lot from their point of view, but for us, it's part of the culture. And even if content is produced by Westerns or by Arabs, the culture really matters, and it affects people, especially for the people who take those shows seriously, or if they're trying to analyze the ideas and what they mean by them.
Definitely.
So it is very important. Not only shows, even books and other things.
Yeah, and exactly, and we come back to the whole idea of almost brainwashing people.
Yes, yeah.
If I'm in the States, and I'm I'm born there and I live there, and I'm not Arab, I'm just a normal, your average Joe, okay?
Yeah.
And I grow up watching Disney that portrays Arabs like that, and then I grow up and I watch TV shows that are portraying that, and I don't have Arab friends or family or people with me in my everyday life, then I definitely will have that stereotype in the back of my mind.
And do you start hating your own culture or origin?
Did you think
yeah.
when we were younger that, oh wow, Americans, Hollywood is
They're
so
cool.
good, they're amazing. Okay, but we didn't realize the hidden messages that they were portraying Middle Easterns in that sense.
What you mentioned about that Disney movie, we watch those animations and cartoons all the time. and we were just in love with all the characters, and we were just brainwashing ourselves without realizing
And
it.
we were singing the song without realizing what the song means,
Yes,
you know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yeah,
Just, I think we're lucky that the Arabic version wasn't as stereotypical as the English one.
I did not watch the Arabic version. Did you?
The Egyptian one, yeah. I
Was it
did.
good?
Yes. It's actually very good, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And this actually brings us to some of the newest characters, maybe different than what you mentioned about TV shows and animations. It's in comics. I'm sure you heard of Miss Marvel.
I did. Yeah, after you told me about her, yeah.
Which Miss Marvel you heard about before I told you?
Well, you know, in context, I think, at least to me, you know, like Miss Marvel is, you know, maybe not that well known to me, at least, you know. Like, I know she's a Marvel character, but I didn't know, like, I think she's one of the less popular ones, maybe, if you can agree with me.
Yes,
like, if you would go ask your normal, let's say, not your, let's say your average comic reader, or like, you know, not even like.
Yeah,
the ones
because it's a character that wasn't portrayed in movies or in animation that much.
Exactly.
And not like Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Those are on
that's
a different
why,
level. Like, those are the
popular.
top-notch
Of course,
superheroes, you know?
So Miss Marvel as a character, it's Carol Denver. It's a blonde female character that has superpowers.
Okay.
But we have a new Miss Marvel that was written by a Muslim writer. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, and the character is actually from Pakistani origins, and she lives in the U.S.
Is she the first Middle Eastern Marvel character?
Yes, one of the first Middle Eastern female superhero, and
well, let's say Middle Eastern and South Asia, that to include that region. Yeah, okay.
Yes, I think it does.
Because when you say Middle Eastern, people usually refer to as the Arabs, you know.
No,
but it also includes,
that's why I'm not
Iran and maybe
Arabs,
Pakistan, you know, to that
Middle
extent.
Eastern because includes people usually Muslims as well.
Muslims,
and the character is a Muslim character in the comic books, which is very interesting. And that's why I wanted to bring it as an example. She's a teenage student. She's a fan of Marvel heroes. She writes fan fiction of her favorite Marvel characters. Of course, her favorite character is Carol Denver, which is the Miss Marvel.
The Miss Marvel, yes.
Yeah. And what is important about this book is they focus on this female character, not as a superhero mostly, but as a female character that is living in New Jersey, surrounded by white people.
Okay.
And just like imagine the idea, it's just like the example you mentioned. A Pakistani girl surrounded by white people, and she's a Muslim. So
do they have a stereotype of her? Like, is it mentioned in the comics that there's a stereotype? Like, do the white, like, as I said, the white people, do they have a stereotype about this Middle Eastern?
Of course, yes,
woman?
kind of. They don't focus on that a lot. They focus more on the character's perspective. It's like when you're reading, it's like you are Kamala Khan, and you just go inside your head, inside her head, and you start thinking that she's a bit conscious about her body image, her black hair,
skin
color, her culture, her parents, because they're sort of strict Muslims. Her brother is very religious.
Protective, maybe as well.
Yeah, very protective. And she's kind of the only daughter. Her mother is also very protective. Of course, the whole drinking idea, no hanging out with boys, no parties and stuff like that.
So let's say the barriers are there, as if they were in the Middle Eastern country.
It's like they're taking reality out of any person with immigrant family. And this applies not only on Middle Eastern, of course, on a lot of nationalities. Once they're taken out of their culture and put in another culture, they feel like they're out of place, different, and they kind of like separate themselves from the reality. So this takes us back to our idea, which is the whole idea of the other and how they're portrayed in comics. And I brought this as a good example, actually, of the representation of such a character. Kamala Khan gets superpowers, and her superpowers are multiple. One of them is her becoming a blonde character.
Really?
So yes, so she looks like Carol Denver.
Original.
So
Miss Marvel.
her whole body and her whole like hair is blonde, and she's like basically a white girl. And
Wow.
that's when she realized that she's actually not comfortable with being someone else. So what she wished for to be like the people she's surrounded with is not actually what she wants. Especially when she realized that that her healing powers are not working when she looks like Carol Denver or she looks like a white girl.
So do you think if they ever portray or they actually like make the movie like about this exact version of Miss Marvel, do you think they'll leave that scene out where, you know, if I become white, I don't like being white, I would rather go back to being myself?
Well, it depends on the political agenda, but during this time, I think they would keep it.
Okay.
Not as intense as in the comic, because it focuses a lot on how she thought of her body and in relation to her surroundings.
Definitely.
But yeah, it would be very interesting to see
In
it
this time and
actually
age, they
in a
would
movie.
probably,
But for a character like Kamala Khan, maybe it's not gonna be as a main character in a movie, not yet.
Well, maybe you know someone
But
recurring, maybe.
yeah,
or
let's
or
be
side
hopeful, yeah. And as I was saying, so this idea of representing this kind of character is very important, and
of course,
I would like to know what you think about this kind of representation.
I'm actually, of course, I'm gonna be for it. You know, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be, you know, like not or be against this. No way. What I think is that, you know, I hope, like, for example, you said that the Muslim writer that actually wrote this Miss
Her name
Marvel.
is J. Willow Wilson. Of course, you know her.
Yes,
of
yes.
course, yeah.
And so the idea behind is would this be portrayed, and how mainstream will it get? Will it be that mainstream, or is it just this comic because it's the writer's idea to put it here in this comic? You know what I mean? Or is it going to go mainstream and it's like it's going to be released all over theaters, for example, and she'll have her own movie, and in that movie she actually portrays the fact that, you know, I don't want to be that blonde white girl. I want to be myself.
Yes, actually, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's interesting. Like when I was reading the comic and I saw that actually the superpower is actually her turning into a blonde character. I was like, what the hell?
Exactly. I mean, you probably got that reaction.
Like
you know?
that's not the point. I was enjoying it, and what just happened. But then, like when you continue reading, and it's kind of like it makes a point. In a very interesting way. I really like the fact that giving a Middle Eastern character the ability to be blonde, then realizing that blonde is not going to be the answer or like the solution to her problems is very effective. And especially maybe for teenagers, it's a good comic to read. So and sorry, just one point. Sure. I've done actually some research, and I've seen like a lot of people are analyzing the book and paying attention to these. So
actually using the implicit and explicit terminologies.
Yes, yeah.
That's amazing. That's really good. So we've come a long way, don't you agree? Like maybe 60, 70 years ago, you would have never seen a Muslim woman portrayed as a, you know, a comic superhero.
Yeah, of course. I think the best example is Wonder Woman.
How so?
Maybe like when we were younger, we weren't allowed to have Wonder Woman comics, mainly because the way she was dressed.
I mean, like, I do understand that. I think, especially we have when her movie came out here in Kuwait.
Even before, like, even the movies, when it came to comics, like, I used to find Batman, Superman comics, and all the other characters, but for Wonder Woman, I don't really remember seeing her comics because censorship.
Of course.
Yes. Of course. And later on, when we got internet, and I read Wonder Woman comics, and I actually did a research paper about it, and I realized that this is why we didn't get Wonder Woman comics, and I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Obviously.
And it just made me want to know more about the comics. So I compared like the earlier comics to how it developed later on, and maybe one of the most interesting things there is Wonder Woman's outfit, how it objectifies her body as a female character.
And that was like before, like that era?
Yes, yeah, it's. I think it's during the 60s or 70s when William Martin created the character of Wonder Woman.
So they were objectifying Wonder Woman, even though she was a lead female superhero character.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
So as a superhero, they thought it was okay to dress her up as I don't know, and it's in an outfit that looks like a swimsuit, basically. And it was basically done to get the boys' attention.
Did it?
Because maybe I'm not sure, but I think for a while, not for a long time, people care a lot about the story and the message behind it, not only what they see on the cover.
Or who's involved.
Yeah, and we can see that later on when, for example, female writers started writing Wonder Woman comics, and even the artists, like, they changed the way she looked. In the movie, we can see her outfit is different, and I think Wonder Woman is more popular than ever right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the blockbuster movie that came out was amazing.
Yes, yeah, and her
like
a new movie is coming, and I think not only females are interested in the movie, even the males.
Oh, definitely.
Yes,
I mean, I watched it and I liked it. My background, I'm more into, let's say, I do like comics a lot, and but my idea of expertise in superheroes is much less than you, of course. You're more into that, I prefer the zombie. I'm the zombie expert,
Yeah.
But I really like. I'm enjoying how things have changed, like especially the last maybe 10 years or 15 years when they started like making more and more superhero movies, and now they're including female characters and female characters as a lead. So
Even,
that shows progress.
not only females, even as I mentioned, the category of the other. So
Black
we
Panther
have
as
Black
well.
Panther
Yes.
as a black character. We have Asian characters, and in general, more focus on other characteristics, not only like the white.
Well, let's hope Miss
male.
Marvel gets a shot. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. I think the movie Miss Marvel.
And I think it would be popular in this region. Don't you think so?
It had actually a black side character that was interacting with Miss Marvel, so maybe they're hinting to something new.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes. Yeah. Very interesting.
Okay, that's great. What I'm trying to conclude here in the end for our first episode is as a viewer, as let's say a fan of comics, or you're a movie buff, or you like to watch TV shows. Okay, concentrate, observe, analyze. Sometimes you might see a movie that's like you think it's an okay movie, but once you actually get those hidden messages, you'd be like, that's a brilliant movie, And then I'm sure down the line I can give you more examples of movies that have so many hidden messages that you can't miss 1 second of not concentrating. Like you have to be like 4 eyes and ears and like all just like
and
glued to the facts
watch it
and
multiple
details.
times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's for me. That's one of the best suggestions I could give anybody.
Yes.
Don't judge a movie or don't judge a book by its
Watch
cover.
it for the first time. Watch it for entertainment.
Yes.
Second time, watch it for analyzing, and the third time also
That
for the smaller details.
Parasite, I watched it twice. Cause I couldn't.
I need to watch it second time.
Yeah,
for
because
sure.
I couldn't just watch it once.
Yeah.
And then down the line we will be giving you insights into that kind of, let's say, in-depth analysis.
Yeah, we're gonna concentrate more on movies and how they hide messages and the smallest corners, or like even on a random shelf, you will not notice.
And to make this far more interesting than you would think it is, we'll be giving out some implicit messages as well. So keep tuning in and try to crack our code sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and of course, like comment and share your ideas about what kind of hidden messages you've seen, maybe related to the representations of the Middle East. Maybe
or other
not.
stuff.
Yeah,
even,
even other stuff. I think you can find a lot of messages hidden everywhere, and the creators are always smart about this. And even in video games, not only.
Video games as well.
Yes,
That's like a whole different story.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us in today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed Minutes of Havoc, and hopefully, we'll be out with a new episode or another episode or episode 2 soon.
Inshallah soon. Thank you, Hamad, and thank you
Amal,
for watching us, and stay tuned.
Goodbye.
Bye.